It was almost a quiet weekend, it seemed, comparatively. I'd kind of tuned out the news all weekend because since Thursday I've been hanging out with some amazing creators, been talking to some incredible farm policy advocates, and of course listening to the most monster lineup I've ever seen in a single show, from Jesse Wells to Neil Young to John Mellencamp, Dave Matthews, Margot Price, Kenny Chesney, the list goes on and on. I saw Steve Earle sing Copperhead Road by himself with nothing but a fucking mandolin. Bob Dylan came out like he was about to star in 8 Mile or something, just black hood and all black set. And of course, a bucket list moment, I was in front of the front row for Willie fucking Nelson. If you were watching it live on CNN, you saw me apparently on TV. So anyway, I was just tuning out the majority of the outside world for the weekend, getting just some much needed happiness for once, you know, and I expected to come back today to just complete devastation. And in any normal timeline, I guess, if we're being honest, it would be. But in this timeline, it seemed pretty mundane. You know, like the font of Führer accidentally true socialing what looked like was supposed to be a private text message to Attorney General Pam Bondi, where he was demanding that Pam Bondi use the power of the government to arrest and imprison his political opponents like Adam Schiff and James Comey. That would normally be huge news, administration ending news, news that would require Senate hearings and congressional hearings, news that would result in an immediate impeachment. But in this timeline, where the swamp scum in government is actively wiping Apricot Adolph's flabby, incontinent orange ass with the Constitution, using the power of the FCC to get talk show hosts and cartoons canceled for saying mean things about the regime, raiding the homes and offices of former government aides, abducting brown people because they're brown and shipping them off to concentration camps with zero due process, President Yellow Snow out here pulling a Pete Hegseth with his text messages to Pam about arresting his political opponents barely makes the news now. Also, Antifa is a terrorist organization now. That's a thing, I guess, which is, you know, bad. Very bad for multiple reasons. Like, first off, Antifa isn't an organization, okay? It's just anybody who thinks Nazis are bad. That's Antifa. And the only people that anti-fascists go out and terrorize is, you know, fascists. So if your government thinks that the anti-fascists are terrorists, that, you know, makes them by default fascists. It's a math thing, you know, a double negative. If you're anti-fascist, you are fascist. But the other problem is just designating people being associated with Antifa when Antifa is not a defined organization as being terrorists. That makes every single one of us a terrorist. Because now the government can just decide that you are a member of this mythical terror organization and treat you accordingly simply because you said something they didn't like. Also, while making being against fascism terrorism, they simultaneously took down all of the DOJ statistics on how real actual terrorists are almost exclusively straight white conservative nut jobs. Also, school now is apparently just going to be a system where child groomers like the people at Turning Point USA, PragerU, and the Heritage Foundation can indoctrinate children. Yeah, the Department of Education, which I need to remind you is run by a pro wrestling personality because we are literally living in idiocracy, is now partnering with 40 of these indoctrination organizations to create propaganda curriculum that will turn our school systems essentially into the Hamburglar Hitler Youth. But yeah, that seems like most of the major news from the weekend as far as I can tell, which is pretty mundane stuff, you know, by comparison. And I'm so depressed that those words can come out of my mouth, honestly. And on the bright side, I was talking to Congresswoman Angie Craig this weekend, and she seems pretty positive that they will now have the 218 signatures necessary to get the Epstein files released. So if my name was Nick Fuentes or Ben Shapiro right now, I'd assume my browser history would have slightly less trans porn and slightly more searches for bulletproof neck protectors, just considering the fact that President Pedophile and his group of pedophiles are probably going to be looking for another sacrificial distraction pretty soon. Just saying, it feels like an uncomfortable time to be a prominent Republican with Charlie there not becoming the horse wessel they were hoping for. But I do want to end sharing something with you guys, hopefully help lift your spirits a little bit, because with as hopeless as absolutely everything has felt lately, having the opportunity to spend a few days with progressive farmers and activists from all walks of life and artists and content creators all from around the country, seeing how passionate and organized they were, seeing how eager and willing they are to just help everybody. If these are the people that we got out here fighting the good fight, guys, we can get through this. We just all need to get involved and do a tiny fraction of the work that people like those involved in Farm Aid are doing, and we will be unstoppable. It's time to roll up our sleeves, guys. Keep organizing, keep protesting, keep calling, keep emailing. Join your local party, your local Indivisible, your local BLM, your local Antifa terrorist organization. Run for something. City council, school board, state rep. Seeing firsthand at Farm Aid just how interconnected every single piece of activism, policy, organizing is across the country, and just how if enough of us get involved in a minor way on a local level, we can move mountains on a national scale. Because if we all commit to doing just a little bit, we can stop those fucking fascists in Washington and make this country truly great, not again, but for the first time. And I think we can all get behind that.